Welcome to Deeply Disgusting. Almost forgot my headsets. In today's episode, we're going to discuss this whole Somali situation. Trump is trying to kick them out of the United States of America. I mean, I think he's trying to kick out all of them, even the ones that minding their own business. But you know what's going on with the Somalis? It's a lot of nonprofits that is being used for fraud and circulating through the state of Minnesota. But before we get there, we're going to see what's going on. How are the Somalis really taking over? Are they taking over? Was there really cats and dogs being eaten? Or was that the Haitians? Which one? Somalia or the Haitians? Which one?
Minnesota.
Dumbing of the United States has arrived.
And mayoral candidate. This right here is Minneapolis. Specifically, it's the Somali neighborhood within Minneapolis that has recently become controversial due to two figures. Congresswoman
Ilhan Omar of Minnesota.
Dumbing of the United States has arrived.
And mayoral candidate Omar Fateh.
It's where Democratic Socialist State Senator Omar Fateh is now just 5 points behind Jacob Fry.
Magalada, Minneapolis.
There may be no immigrant community in the nation more tied to its political leaders than the Somalis in Minnesota, so we decided to go past the clickbait and culture war and explore the community with curiosity.
That's what America stands for, like everybody's.
Wow, what a good introduction to a video, right? Very well done, very well edited. But the Somalis are coming. And they already came and they landed in Minnesota, it seems like. You look at the buildings, got all type of Somali language. You look at the people. All I see is Somalis playing ball. I mean, nothing's wrong with that. But when you're using funds for criminal activity, that's when the investigation has to start.
Segregated in their own community.
But they're walking around in sandals in the winter and you're just going, oh my God.
What's it really?
He said they're walking around in sandals in the winter. I know you ain't talking, white man. Y'all be outside with sandals in the winter too, my Caucasian brother. Stop. Listen, let's not go sandals to sandals, bro. Like, if we go sandals to sandals, bro, we could... You get killed in this conversation, man. Y'all are the inventors. Besides, like, the Arabs, y'all are the inventors. The inventors of wearing sandals in the winter. I see all your little piggies.
Like, do they love America?
Our children will take a gun to defend national interest of the United States.
Our journey took us to a massive open-air Somali mall, which a cop escorted us out of, to Omar Fateh's campaign HQ, to a studio where we interviewed Somali's parliamentarian who actually lives in Minnesota. Come with us to Minneapolis.
We in Minneapolis, man. Murderapolis, bitch, get in tune.
That was not the greeting we expected when we pulled into Cedar Riverside.
Misconception in my eyes would be that Somali...
Man, y'all talking about a group of people that come from a country where it gets cracking. You talk about a group of people that come from a country of poverty. Y'all think y'all in poverty in the United States? What, you think the projects is really poverty? Y'all on a whole bunch of government assistance, food stamps. You could go to the corner store, get a bubble gum, and get a goddamn tampon. These Somalis don't get no assistance where they at. Wherever they live, that's where they live. If you right there by the water, and you got a box, and your house is like probably 4 pieces of wood, you good in Somali. That's poverty.
The community are a threat. No, before Somali, we're Muslim. And Somali people that are real Muslims that are on their deen and on their way, peaceful. 3 mosques just in walking distance right now as we speak. And it's so beautiful that you can just take your feet and just walk to the mosque. Everything's easy over here.
I asked Salim how he ended up in Minneapolis, and he told us that he was actually born in Kenya, which many Somalis fled to after its government collapse in 1991.
Obviously, I'm an immigrant, but at the end of the day, this country welcomed me. For my family to strive.
Oh, see, he's Somali, but he was born in Kenya. You know, it's still all Africa, man. It's all Africa. Don't let them fool you. The Middle East thing is, it sounds good, but it's really all Africa.
In this country, I'm glad and I'm thankful.
But Salim then fell into hot water.
Oh, I know when I see criminals when I see them. I know when I see some Somali criminals. Look at him right there. Salim Muhammad, all the way to the left. That's the one that was just in the video talking. Look at the next one. Muhammad Hassan. Do not trust him with your daughter. Let me tell you that. And look at Nappy Head over here. Look at Wormhead over here. Mustafa Shahir. I wouldn't trust him around a piece of bubble gum. And look at this one here. You could tell he's the follower. Hazah Hassan. You notice they all Hassans, right? And they probably not even brothers. Hassan is popular in the Somali culture.
In South Dakota, where he was charged for murder.
To this day, if you Google my name, Sioux Falls, you're going to see murder. It's called defamation of character for real. I missed the birth of my niece.
Something you didn't do.
Something I didn't even do. Yeah. I feel like I got a little story to tell too. My name's Salim Muhammad, man, and I ain't not a murderer.
Yeah, well, dude, I'm glad at least you're out now, and hopefully you get justice.
Justice been served, but to who?
We left Salim.
At least he's one of the smart ones not to claim something that's negative. At least his mother taught him common sense. Like, bro, don't ever claim anything that's negative. He's upset because Google still got him in the algorithm. He's upset because Google got him in the algorithm, and I don't even blame him. He should be upset. This what tells you that he's still kind of like, abiding by his culture in a way, He's not just 100% American, He's still got a little bit of sense,
And turned the corner where we saw the fire he referenced, and also tried to interview some locals.
We're trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah, we have a new fire.
Do you know what happened here? I don't know. Well, do you know what happened here?
I don't know.
What surprised us was how many Somalis we met who moved to Minneapolis from other states. There's really been a second migration to Minneapolis for Somalis. First to America, and then concentrating there. One of the Somalis who's done just that is Omar Fateh, who was born in D.C.
Oh yeah, DC got a big Somali party section. I was in DC one time, and I bumped into a Somali party, and let me tell you, they could party. And those girls ain't always what you think they are. When they got the shahada, let me tell you, they could twerk. They can twerk.
Go, we need volunteers.
Today, nearly 100,000 Somalis live in Minnesota, and the
look at them twerking, see?
majority of them are in the Twin Cities.
And I want to speak directly to the Somali community. Minneapolis is your city.
We are in Cedar Riverside, which is the Somali capital, not just of Minneapolis, but of the U.S. And right behind us are some of their apartment buildings. This is the sort of center of where the Somalis live. Now, 50% of the people in this neighborhood
called the projects. It's called the project. He's trying to make it sound nice. He is called the projects. That's where they put all the Somalis, right there, on government assistance. Yes, that's where they put them. But you know what? We got some fraud to get to, ladies and gentlemen.
The nightmare billion-dollar fraud scandal rolls on in Minnesota, and now the heat is on that state's most powerful elected officials. Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison are trying hard to defend what they are accused of doing. Prosecutors say it was widespread and organized theft of taxpayer money. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. House Oversight Republicans are accusing Walson Ellison of looking.
Ooh, I like that. The Faulkner Focus. She's always an amazing host, but I told y'all, these Somalis, man, they stealing all the money. They're using taxpayers to get rich.
The other way to avoid political problems with Minnesota's influential Somali community. If you can't get that vote in that community, you can't win in politics in that state. It's very real. Ellison claims everything is under control now, though.
We're glad that we took the action that we did. I convicted over 300 people in the last few years for Medicaid fraud. So we are very able to go after fraud, and we do all the time.
Prosecutors have charged more than 75 people, so they didn't find everybody clearly if they were even.
You do all the time, but you don't if it's not politically motivated. Who you think you fooling, fool? We know how y'all get down. Yes, you may have had 300 cases of Medicaid fraud, but what about all the fraud that was going through the Somali community? What about all that fraud? Was it turn a blind eye because it's the Somalis and we need the Somali vote? The same way that a lot of Democrat politicians, they turn a blind eye to the crime in the black community. They don't want to stop and frisk. They don't want nothing that will accuse them of being racist. Is the reason why they will allow and they continue to allow y'all to get killed every single day by somebody that looks like you, because they don't want to disturb their voting base.
Looking in 4 separate ongoing investigations. Here's the Republican Minnesota House Speaker.
We're finally getting that national attention that we need so much here in our state to have full investigations. But you're right. It's over $1 billion in tax.
Is she on medication? That's a question. Is she on medication? Why is she looking at the camera like that? Are you okay, lady? Are you okay? Do you need a helping hand? Huh? You don't have to stare at the screen like you're a psycho.
Taxpayer dollars that have gone out to fraud instead of going to the people that needed those services the most.
Former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer in focus in a moment. I want to go straight to our correspondent Garrett Tenney, who's been all over this story since it broke. Garrett.
Well, here's the level of fraud investigators are finding in Minnesota is growing by the day. Kelly Loeffler, who leads the Small Business Administration, says in the 2 days her agency has been investigating the state, they've uncovered at least $1 million in PPP fraud just 2 days in. Several of the whistleblowers in Minnesota have also told lawmakers they believe the total amount of fraud could total up to more than $8 billion. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election, is under fire.
What in that? Did they say $8 billion? How you go from 1 million in 2 days to 8 billion? 80 billion? No way. No way. We need evidence of this.
For all of this happening under his watch, but he says they have paused these programs. They've brought in outside auditors to get an idea of how far-reaching this fraud was. They're taking steps to keep it from happening again, and he's defending his management of the state while also taking shots at Republicans and the president.
And in spite of the headwinds we're up against, Minnesota ranks economically, economic growth, happiness, number of people insured, education levels, near the very...
Happiness? Listen, we don't care about no happiness right now. We upset. Where is our money? We upset. We don't care about being happy and happy. Merry Christmas to you. No, we don't care because we want more Christmas gifts for our kids, goddammit. We want our money back. He got the nerve to talk about happy and he don't got half his hair on his head. What's wrong with this man?
Very top. So I'll tell you what, I have no interest in having this state look like Oklahoma or Mississippi. And if folks are...
Oh, he throwing shots. You throwing shots? You want steak beef, bro? What you want? You want steak beef, bro? Because we could point some things in Mississippi towards your way. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't live in Mississippi, but God damn it, I live in Alabama, and it's the same damn thing.
We're going to commit crimes here, thinking because our generous spirit and our programs that we have is going to give them some kind of cover. They are sadly mistaken.
Minnesota is also now home to the single largest pandemic fraud scheme in the country. And Republicans argue that Walz and other Democrats opened the door to this by offering such generous social welfare benefits without any real protections against fraud. And
it destroys a community. It destroys a community. Are there people who need social benefits? Of course there are. Are there people that's chilling and relaxing on it? They purposely not. They don't want to do anything on purpose. On purpose. Are there people at home collecting disability because they said they finger hurt and they're tight for a living? Like, oh, my finger. Oh, I can't move it. I need dilated. Yes. People are at home sucking up these benefits like a baby sucking a mama's titty.
And then ignored warnings about that fraud because they didn't want to lose the support of the Somali community.
The whistleblowers that I've spoken to are saying that the governor knew, and the governor and lieutenant governor and even Chris Schmitter, who was his chief of staff, came to them as staff and scolded them for pointing out fraud.
Of course they knew, and of course the governor is going to scold you if you point out the fraud that he was involved in. Duh. If I'm involved in the fraud, and I got all these programs ciphering money and all the money going through my account, all of a sudden I made like $200,000-300,000 before I became a politician. All of a sudden, I'm a multimillionaire. All because I have a city with a lot of people that are happy.
Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar told CNN this week she believes the fraud spiraled out of control because COVID programs were rolled out without sufficient guardrails. It's also worth noting the owner of
this woman is a plant. And not that plant you got at your windowsill in the kitchen. I'm talking about she's a plant. This woman is here purposely to become a politician, become somebody in higher power. She's a spy. She is a spy. Y'all seen 007? There was a character just like her.
Of the restaurant where Omar held her 2018 victory party is among those from the Somali community who have been convicted of profiting from the schemes. Harris?
Look, I don't know. I know this would be public, but I don't know how hard they'd make us work as journalists. But I want a FOIA for those 300 plus arrests that A.G. Ellison says that he made. I want to know the dates that.
Yeah, I want to know too, because I know he lying.
Those arrests, did they coincide with being caught or this coming to light? I want to know who they picked up in the scheme when you just heard a head of small business saying, Kelly Loeffler, there are more people to go out and get. I mean, this is unbelievable. Your last quick word.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Earlier this week, when Governor Walz was asked, why is it?
Yo, don't he look like He-Man? Yo, he looked just like He-Man in a suit. He-Man done grown up.
That he was leaving this up to the feds. Why isn't the state doing more?
Yeah.
He said, we're working with the feds and that we're leading to these federal cases. He didn't answer.
Yes, of course he's working with the feds now. He didn't want to work with the feds when the feds wanted to kick out migrants. But now he's working with the feds. You know why he's working with the feds? Because now he has to play ball, guys. He got to play ball now. They got him in his fraud. This fraud was supposed to make sure his family solidified in generational wealth. This fraud that he was doing, it was supposed to solidify him in generational wealth. But you know what happened? You know what happened? He got
push against ICE, different topic. Same attitude, though. So interesting. Now, to save his own hide, he's going to work with the feds for that investigation. Garrett Tenney, thank you. Minnesota's fraud scandal is raising much larger, more far-reaching in implications questions about the welfare state and government bureaucracies across America. The Wall Street Journal editorial board is honing in on that issue that is at the heart of, remember, Doge's mission to cut out things that weren't working that cost us so much. To cut.
Why you think the Democrats was against it? Why you think the Democrats were so much against Doge? It's because they didn't want those to find out their corruption. They're going to Congress fight. It's so much to fight. Their cities are horrendous with garbage, rats, and crime. But their major fight around that time was to stop Doge. Doge. What?
That. And it's a huge concern for taxpayers. Here's part of that article. The main problem here isn't ethnicity or migration. It's the incentives for indolence and fraud at the heart of the welfare state.
Indolence. I'm gonna use that. Indolence and fraud at the heart of the welfare state. All that free money with a few guardrails is an inventative theft. It's crazy.
And all that free money with few guardrails is an invitation to theft. Columnist Kim Strassel echoes that with this, quote, Minnesota raises to alarm level a separate need for reset. The system itself, the government machine, is broken. The system serves more as a cash machine for criminals than a safety net for the needy.
I always said that. A lot of these guardrails they have, all these programs they have are benefiting people who don't want to do anything with their lives. Benefiting criminals that don't want to do nothing with their lives, and they're hurting people that actually want to get up their ass and go to school. They get denied for this. They get denied for grants. It's hard when you're doing good. They make it harder for you if your parents are doing good. If your parents are making a certain amount of money, life is hard. But if everybody chooses not to do nothing with their lives, they get all the checks in the mail.
Here's Republican Senator Joni Ernst.
We need to continue the ability to audit all of those books, all of those funds, those grants that went out through the various COVID programs. I am all on board with going back and exposing what has happened in Minnesota. And let this be.
Me too, goddammit. Audit, baby, audit. Matter of fact, I'm going to audit some things my damn self.
A lesson as well, not just to Minnesota, but to all of the fraudsters that exist out there that have taken.
Oh, I'm going to show you exactly where they are. All in New York. They all in California. They all in Illinois, especially, that's Chicago. They get a lot of people. They get a lot of money off those black folks, man.
Money that did not belong to them and should not have gone to them.
Well, she's right about that. They're taking a look at other states, including California. That for another day. Let's focus in on this really wildfire going on in terms of politics in Minnesota right now. Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary, Fox News contributor. Ari, how do we not focus in on what the motivation to do something like this would have been? And that's you cannot win in.
Ari, are you tired, brother? You got some big bags underneath your eyes, brother. You could go to what you call it, Whole Foods. They got a nice beauty aisle. Everything kind of organic. You could get the cucumber cream. Every night, man. Treat yourself better, man. Remember, men can look good too, man.
In that state in politics without that Somali community, and they are at the heart of this fraud allegation.
Well, I think there are two issues here. The most fundamental one is the ripping off of the welfare state, which is human nature. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Why does anybody think this is limited to Minnesota or any of the 50 states? This is what people do when the government hands out free money. They create fraud to get more of it.
They create more problems in the city. That is the game. And I analyzed it for many years, and I got it verified by a politician that I know personally who is a Democrat, and they told me that is the name of the game. That's the name of the game. You go to a city, you get voted in, and you run that daggone city into the ground. The more you run the city into the ground, you're going to lose investors. You're going to lose all this stuff, whatever. But that money you can't really cipher. You know what money you could cipher? Money that the federal government giving you to solve your problems that you are creating.
And this is why big government equals big fraud and wasted money. It always has, always will. And what's vital now, and this is where if Walter Ellison, the governor and the attorney general, knew of this and looked the other way, they need to be thrown out of office. Because this is corruption because of the key Somali community, as you referenced, Harris.
I agree. They need to put them two in prison. I prefer they put them in that prison. You know the one that Trump just made? Alligator Alley. They need to put them in Alligator Alley. Make sure some alligator gets some good old Minnesota meat. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to listen to Tim Walsh talk about how he's trying to solve all of the fraud in his state. And they're going to show us the numbers of how many people are actually getting welfare in the state of Minnesota. Maybe I need to move there.
Are through, they believe the actual size of this fraud, the amount of taxpayer dollars that has been stolen, could be higher than $8 billion. We are already seeing some of that. 2 days into the Small Business Administration's investigation, Secretary Kelly Loeffler says the agency has uncovered at least $1 million.
Oh, she is a nice older. Look at that. Kelly Loeffler, she's a baddie. You see, y'all busy looking at the girls on Instagram. You know those girls that'll rob you? But y'all missing out on the real baddies out there. You're an older man, single. Y'all look at how she got her hair. Y'all worried about BBLs when you got beauty, natural beauty walking around like this that age gracefully? All right, I didn't mean to mess the show up. Go ahead.
$1 billion in PPP fraud. And the state itself is now looking into the possibility of fraud in another Medicaid program. Minnesota's Department of Human Services is now pausing the issuing of new licenses for disability service providers over concerns.
They're pausing disability. I told y'all. Disability is the biggest fraud ever. I know people that are on disability and they buy iPhones. They buy the new iPhone every time it comes out. Every time it comes out, they got the new iPhone. They're like, yo, you still got the 12? I'm like, yeah. They're like, Dad, don't you doing good in life? I'm like, yes, I'm doing very well in life. They're like, yo, why you still got the 12? I'm like, because I don't buy phones every time the media tell me to buy phones, okay? I'm very financially smart, brother.
Of fraud after an explosion in the number of applications for new licenses over the past 5 years, going up 283%.
283%. Imagine you are somebody that never got any Puyani ever in your life, right? And then all of a sudden, it's 2025. And we in December, and all of a sudden, your Puyani rate went up 283%. I will call that fraud.
While the number of people needing those services only increased by 25%. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election.
It takes away from the people who really need the service. This is not about outing people. Listen, you want to do your little fraud, do your fraud. Just don't put my name in it. This not about snitching. This is about money that we all put into. We all put money into this pot. And we're putting way too much money. More of this money could be put in the kids that we making every day. More of this money could be put towards doing things for the future, for you and your family. But instead, we're giving the government a large percent of our income just so they could rip it off and throw it all in our face.
The election is under fire for all of this happening under his watch, but he says they have investigated every claim of fraud that's come in, something whistleblowers dispute.
You didn't investigate nothing, Chubby Cheeks. You did not investigate nothing, Coffee Cake Face. Huh? You want me to dip you in some coffee? Huh?
Butte, and says the state is taking the steps it needs to keep it from happening again.
We've acknowledged that this is serious, needs to
Yeah, how about this step? How about you don't do the fraud? How about that?
stop. It is stopping. People are continuing to go to prison. I think the good news for Minnesotans to know when that 90-day pause is over and the third-party audits are done, we will have a better picture than we've ever had, which I think is really good.
While all of these investigations are getting underway, Republican lawmakers are sounding the alarm about Minnesota's new paid leave program launching next month that allows anyone in the state, regardless of their citizenship status, to take 12 weeks of paid leave a year paid for by the state.
They're doing more fraud in front of our face. They're doing more fraud in front of our... They just got caught for all that fraud, and now they moved on to another fraud. Now they're going to allow people to take paid vacation for 12 days, whether you're a citizen or you're not a citizen. What's the point of being a citizen then? We all should just denounce our citizenship and start over. I want to start over as a migrant. I'm going to take all my money out the bank, sell everything that I got, go to Mexico, and I'm going to hop over the gate. Before I do all that, I'm going to denounce my citizenship, go to Mexico, then hop over the gate and tell them, I'm a migrant. Can I please get all the money that you've been giving out?
GOP lawmakers say the program is ripe for abuse.
It was written so broadly that you can take advantage of it and abuse it, and no one's going to come looking for you. The taxpayers put in a bunch of money to launch the whole thing. So this is going to be...
Of course they put in a bunch of money to launch it. And guess who's going to get it? Guess who's going to get it? Y'all guess. I'm going to give y'all 2 seconds. Y'all guess.
This neighborhood speak Somali, and we're talking to some of the residents.
We then met the facilities manager of these towers, who's managed them for nearly 50 years.
But I've worked in it for 46 years.
How has it changed?
Just different immigrants.
So a lot of Somalis live here?
Yes. In fact, I think it's one of the largest populations in the cities. Yes, I think they do kind of stick to themselves, but I have a bunch of them that work under me, and they're pretty social. Some of the first ones came here, and I know it's a money issue, but they're walking around in sandals in the winter, and you're just going, oh my God. But they came here.
Don't you talk about those sandals again. Don't you dare mention those sandals again.
They got established here, then they follow each other. Right. So they want to be with people that speak the same language, and it has changed a lot. There's several bars that used to have live music, the last of which just closed a few weeks ago, and the Somali East African people have been buying those buildings up for daycare centers, mosques, and various things. So the neighborhood's changed a lot, but I consider it an evolution.
The Somalis are buying up all the property. Give a shout out to the Somalis. You know the Somalis do a lot of effing, right? You know the average Somali chick, you see all American chicks, y'all still working on one. The average Somali chick, she's already on number 5. So they need daycares. They came to the country like, listen, we're going to build a whole bunch of daycares and we're going to build a whole bunch of mosques. That's plan A. Y'all didn't even see plan C yet.
Fate, who's running for mayor. Do you have an opinion on him?
Not a real positive one, but...
You like Jacob Fry?
better than I like Omar.
Yeah.
It was during this conversation that we actually saw Omar Fateh.
Oh my goodness, I think that's Omar Fateh right there. We got to go try to interview him. How are you? Nice to meet you. Hello.
We didn't want to shove the camera in his face, so we asked him for an interview, then later implored his campaign team to talk to us. Unfortunately, no luck. Everywhere we looked in this area, we saw Omar Fateh signs, and his...
Yo, Omar Fateh, he came to him, gave him a dap, smiled in his face, and like, yeah, I'll give you an interview. And it went into the building and never came back out the building.
popularity has enraged the right, including Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, and other conservative voices who consider him a travesty.
Well, the Democrat Party has become a party that aids and encourages violence.
Fateh has indeed made a number of controversial claims.
I would agree with that.
The greatest domestic threat facing the United States comes from, quote, specifically those who advocate for the superiority of the white race.
But he's not the only Somali politician who's done that. Congresswoman...
You see, they're using the same tactics that black Americans use. They're basically starting over again. Like, they're using the same tactics that the black American politicians use. Confuse your people with racism. Cause problems within the community. Get a whole bunch of government grants and get rich.
Ilhan Omar, who's elected to Congress alongside AOC in 2018, has invited much controversy herself.
Our country should be more fearful.
She looked like a hustler.
Of white man, because they are...
The country should be more fearful of the white man. The white man is nowhere to be found in your neighborhood, ma'am. The white man is minding his own business. And yes, I understand what she's saying. Don't get at me in the comments. I get what she's saying. Whitey's in charge of everything. Nowadays, you can move on your own pace and become anything you want to be. This is not 1985, okay? I meant to say 1885, but you know what I mean.
Are actually causing most of the deaths within this country.
Yeah, there is nothing
within this country
more up than to completely pretend that his words have not been recorded. These people are full of shit.
You know, I met the head of Somalia. Did you know that? And I suggested that maybe he'd like to take her back, and he didn't want to.
And while Somalis are...
Please take her back, please. We will be happy to donate her back to you and make sure we bring her back in good peace and in good shape and in good health, because we're going to pump her out with a whole bunch of Obamacare, and we're going to send her back to Somalia, okay? She's going to be well immune.
Remain a minority in Minneapolis, Ilhan Omar and Fateh have both struck alliances with white progressives, making them a formidable force. But
two hustlers that formed a team. That's all I see. I see two hustlers that said, you know what, let's team up and let's do our fraud on a bigger scale, you know?
sometimes this alliance has proven unwieldy, like with gender ideology in schools. Somali parents demanded their kids be pulled out of gender classes. One mom told the school board, "We believe that we have a sacred obligation to teach the principles of our faith to our children without being undermined by the schools." This caused one school board member to cry and tell the Somali women that the queer community has been so good to them. We kept walking around looking...
Oh, you know the Somalis not playing that game. They're gonna play the Democratic game over here because they know it's a good way to get rich. But the one thing Somalis not gonna do, they're not gonna allow you to teach their child that their boy is a woman and their girl is a man, and it is okay to like the same sex. They're not playing those games. That's the last straw of the Somali. Let me tell you that. They're going to do all the nonsense you want to tell them to do, but when it comes to destroying the minds of their children, because Somalis, they like to mate. There's a lot of them. They like to do a lot of banging, you know. They're like rabbits in a way. The Somalis is not going to teach their little boys to like other little boys to stop their Somali culture from growing. They're not going to do that. They know that's a tactic. That's in the art of war. Confuse a race of people to stop their growth and stop their prosper by confusing their minds. Thank y'all for watching. Like and subscribe. I'll give y'all more of the Somali topic, but I'm kind of getting tired of Somalis, man. I ain't gonna. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. And listen, if you watch this video, you laughed, you liked it, you watched it, you better like that guy. You press the like button. Bye. Thanks for watching. Deeply disgusted.